Good Friday afternoon, everybody. My name is Eli Robinson. I am the Chief Trivia Officer here at Water Cooler Trivia. We come on to Twitch and YouTube every single week and go over the results of our weekly trivia game. You can find us online at watercoolertrivia.com. We have a 4-week free trial. We are a weekly trivia game for offices, companies, organizations all over the English-speaking world to stay connected to each other using trivia. We have a 4-week free trial, so you can give us a shot without paying us anything. And then ultimately, we are $1 a user a month. You can find us online wherever you'd find the kids, LinkedIn, TikTok, I don't know, whatever it may be. This week's game in the 3rd week of November was called A Hint of Fall. If you look at the performance for this week's game, we had 4,600 users play the game, an average of 7.63, which is a little bit lower than we've had in the past, but ultimately is where I think is going to be around what the sweet spot for our game is, and a median of 8. So you'll see in a second what I'm talking about when I mention this shape of the curve. Like having a common score is like certainly something that we're okay with. A little too many five, which ultimately is a leading indicator to us that people would have struggled a little bit with this week's quiz. And the reason is we recently launched a new feature in Water Cooler Trivia that allows us to write intros to the quiz. People have been playing our game for a really, really long time. This is going to be something that they haven't seen before. And this week we had an intro to the quiz. So the intro to the quiz said, to make things more fun, the correct answers to questions 1 through 10 on this week's quiz will start and end with the same letters as the first and last letters of the questions. For example, if the question starts with the word what and ends with the word lady, the answer will begin with W and end in Y. Ready, let's go. So about 70 to 80% of people who played the game or who submitted an answer to this week's game caught that hint. 20 to 30% did not. And if you did not catch the hint, you probably loaded the game, was like, these questions are really hard, and were particularly frustrated. So we're happy, we seem to be pretty happy that the 80% of people who like caught it, like really liked it, but my guess is there's a lot of people out there that are like some level of frustrated because they didn't see the conceit and how we had ultimately written up the game. So question number 1, a bunch of developers created an open source media player named Cider as a cross-platform client for the namesake music platform of what computer syndicate? That would be Apple. Question. So you knew the 91% correct. Number 2, singles that hit bid on the alternative charts for Weezer in 1994 and in 2012 both had titles that dropped what cozy outerwear? That would be the sweater, 89% correct. Cinnamon joins pumpkin pie spice, nutmeg, and what flavor as the main spices in a Starbucks pumpkin spice latte? That would be clove. Clove. Interesting to see this so low, percent. We're thinking to ourselves, well, if there's a spice that begins with a C and an E that's in pumpkin spice, people would probably be able to get it. But clearly, clove is not popular enough of a spice for people to be able to like pull it up on command. Question number 4, really kicking off the debate between the left side and the strong side is what 2000 Denzel Washington movie about a newly integrated high school football team in the early 70s. That would be Remember the Titans. This would be another one where we were just wrong. Like we thought not a lot of people would know what Remember the Titans was, but only 65% correct. Question number 5, ancient Greeks carved wooden scarecrows to resemble Priapus, the not-so-hot son of what goddess of love? That would be Aphrodite. Aphrodite, I believe Venus in the Roman nomenclature, 78% correct. Shepherds get all the love at the Cow Ball in Bonehenge, a September festival in what Melania Trump home country just north of Croatia? That would be Slovenia. So as we know, with an A, so really there was a multiple choice between Slovenia, Slovakia, and Serbia. So 47% of you who correctly identified Slovenia, way to go. A few people said Yugoslavia, which ultimately Slovenia was part of Yugoslavia prior to the fall of the Soviet Union, but couldn't count that as correct today. Changing leaf color is the result of a slowdown in the production of what green pigment during fall? That would be chlorophyll, more like borophyll, 88% correct. Good job, everybody, remembering your high school biology. What war's armistice, which famously went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of the year it was signed, was the origin of the Veterans Day holiday that Americans now observe? That would be World War I, 77% correct. Boo! A fan threw a beer can and damaged the World Series Commissioner's Trophy at a 2018 victory parade in what town? That would be Boston. Interestingly enough, Beantown also starts with a B and ends with an N, so we accepted Beantown. And finally, question number 10, at the end of 500 Days of Summer, the protagonist gets over his breakup with Summer and meets a pretty gal named for what time span? That would, of course, be Autumn. With seasons and the characters, 77% correct. Here are the question by question breakdown. You can see kind of nothing up in the high 90s, slightly lower scores than we've seen in weeks past. Ultimately, more than fine. We apologize to those who did not catch on to the hint. We think you probably would have enjoyed the game a lot more. Here are the stats one more time from this week's performance. Eli Robinson, the Chief Trivia Officer here at Water Cooler Trivia. We hope you're enjoying the throes of fall and that you'll come play trivia with us soon. Watercoolertrivia.com, and we'll see you next week.